Now, if you are like me, your career is incredibly important to you. But early on in my career, I made some pretty big mistakes that looking back on now, I wish I had not. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 career mistakes that you might be making and how to avoid them. Let's go. Now, the first big mistake that I think many of us are guilty of making is making decisions based solely on money. It can be very easy to be like, I think I'm going to leave my current company because I can make more money elsewhere. Or you're choosing between 2 jobs. And without evaluating all the other parts or components of an offer or a company, you choose just based on compensation. But anybody who has worked in a toxic work environment can tell you that it pays to consider more things than just compensation. Now, I want to be clear because compensation is incredibly important. You can like your job, but I'm willing to guess you wouldn't do it for free, and neither would I. So it's important to be compensated fairly. But you can't make decisions based solely on that because there are so many other things that matter. The environment in which you do it in. Who is your leader? What is the team you belong to? What about growth and development? What about company financial stability? There are so many things that make up your overall experience as an employee. So making a decision solely based on compensation is a huge mistake that you want to avoid. Now, this next one is a bit harder to spot, but is incredibly important. And that second mistake people make is assuming that growth is only linear. So what do I mean by this? So I work in recruitment, and a lot of people look at recruitment and they go, okay, I'll come in as a recruiter, then I'll go to a senior recruiter, then I'll be a recruiting supervisor, then I'll be a recruiting manager. And they view this in a very myopic fashion, thinking this is the only way to have a career. But that is just not true. Growth isn't just moving up. Growth might also be diversifying your experience, getting into a different part of the process, maybe growing in a different industry. I had a professor when I got my MBA, and he described growth to me in a really interesting way. He talked about his career, and he said early in his career, he took a job, and instead of getting promoted up, he went laterally and tried something else. And then he did another job and went laterally. And then he was able to build up. And he described it as a pyramid. He said, early on, I wanted to establish a firm base where I had diverse experience, and that allowed me to grow faster the further I got into my career. So the second mistake that you want to make sure you're not just saving blinders on, and you're only looking at growth as that next step up, because there are more ways to grow than just being promoted. Another mistake that's really easy to make is burning bridges. I've had people comment to my YouTube videos and they go, Ben, why should I give a 2-week notice? I'm just going to quit. They're not going to give me a 2-week notice when they fire me. And yeah, they're probably not going to give you a 2-week notice, although some companies will give you severance. But here's an important thing to remember. A lot of people think, well, I'm never coming back to this company again. So if I leave, they won't rehire me, but that won't adversely impact me anywhere else. And I think that's a bit short-sighted because the reality is people at the organization where you're burning the bridges, they might go elsewhere. So now maybe you can't go back to this company, but now you also can't go back to this company that this person went to. Additionally, you're going to need references. There are also things as backdoor references where people know people who worked at your prior company, and off the record, they call them and go, hey, tell me what's up with Ben. Was Ben a good employee? Would you hire Ben again? And then I go, you know what? Ben just quit. Didn't even give us notice. Now, doing that is just one of many ways you can burn a bridge. But it is really important to understand your career is long, and you can ill afford to burn any bridges because those are bridges you may need in the future. A better thing to do is take the high road, do what is professional, be kind, and build relationships because you never know when you're going to need them again. A huge mistake people make is they don't continue to learn and add skills. So a lot of people, if they decide to go to college, get their college degree and go, well, I guess I am done learning. And I have to say that's a massive mistake. Now, I'm someone who has continued to learn. Got my college degree, went and got my MBA, and I have a whole handful of certifications that I've got to better my craft. And the thing is, it can be really easy to just get that education, get into your industry, and view on-the-job learning as the only development and learning you need. But the market is competitive. And in order to remain competitive as a top-tier candidate, if you interview for future jobs, or as someone who stands out to be promoted to your current company, it is critical that you continue to add to your toolbox. So understand that you should learn what certifications are relevant to your industry. There are a whole host of them out there. Continue to learn on your own outside of work. Learning doesn't always have to be an MBA. It could be YouTube, right? It could be Khan Academy. It could be adding in skills certifications. But if you think you start your career and you've done all the learning that you need, that is the wrong way to look at it. Technology moves so quickly and things change so rapidly that one of the best things you can do to safeguard your future is continue to learn. Another huge mistake people make, and this is a hard one, is they don't realize they've hit a dead end at their organization. You might love your company, but if you get to the point where there's no room to advance, and advancement is something that's important to you, well, you have to understand that and make a move. And the sooner you do that, the better, because you can end up in a spot and you can end up in a dead end and you can be there for a very long time. And the longer you're there, at some point, you're losing ground on people who are making those steps in their career. You're probably sitting there wondering, well, okay, yeah, I admit that would be bad, Ben. What do I do about that? Well, you can watch this video because I made a video specifically about this. Look, this is such an important one that I made an entire video. Here are signs that you have hit the ceiling at your current company and you're not going to be able to be promoted. Trust me, I know that is incredibly frustrating. I felt like I've been there in the past, and knowing these signs, well, they're critical for understanding it and deciding it's time to make a move. So I'm done here, but I'll see you over there.